live with Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and love what you believe in, how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward, never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Natasha Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. I hope that everybody's doing well, that you are taking care of yourself, that you are living your best life. We are still in the midst of a COVID third wave, so we want to continuously remind folks, please be safe. Please stay socially distant. If you can get vaccinated, put your name on the list. Go ahead and get your shot. That doesn't mean that you cannot still transmit the virus. There are breakthrough infections. We want you to stay masked up. Everyone, please stay socially distant. This is one of those seasons. Now we're in election season. This weekend, tons of motorcades all across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. With those motorcades, I didn't see FNM, PLP, Coalition of Independence. I actually shout out to the Coalition of Independence. They had a motorcade. Okay. And people were motorcading. All right. But I didn't see any of that. All I saw was COVID. That's it. I didn't see, oh, they're coming. All I saw was COVID. That's all I saw was COVID. COVID in the bus. Did y'all see buses? Bus a ride on Bay Street. I felt like Michael Pintard should have been reciting that poem. Bus a ride on Bay Street. Because if you saw some of those buses even, right? Like how you make buses bounce like that. I saw that PLP bus bounce. I saw it bounce, right? And it was from the driver. Shout out to the Fast and Furious 10 driver who was driving that jitney, because that jitney was on a roll. I mean, it was just doing some magical things. Shout out to jitney, whatever number that was, right there on the bend of Cable Beach, when you go into Cable Beach, whatever that was. I saw you, bus driver. COVID. Anyways, so I want everybody, please be safe. It doesn't matter if you're registered. Question how many people was registered, but dray load of cars. I mean, I thought we was even in an economic recession, but y'all got gas. Y'all got gas. Y'all got gas. This is powerful. I mean, and people was counting cars. I mean, in Grand Bahama, they was talking about, man, we got a motorcade for 6 to 7 miles. Someone did a joke online and said, yeah, they had a motorcade the same amount too, and they still lose. But COVID. Oh, what a time. All right, everyone. I tell you, this has been a great weekend for my job safely home. I can do my job from home, This is powerful. I can do my job from home. And good afternoon, Gigi, all the way in North Carolina. I see y'all. Everyone who's following us from the Dominican Republic, Lady Mackie, everyone who's watching us online. Don't forget, follow us online at Facebook and YouTube. Follow, share. We want to continue to build the audience in all the different ways so we can reach the diaspora of the Bahamas and all of those interested parties across the world. Of course, to all of my wonderful listeners here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. There would be no Hit Back without you. So thank you so much for joining us today. All right, I got my good friend all the way from Fox Hill. And I was told he's voting DNA for my good friend Ricardo. Ricardo's last name. My good friend Ricardo. I heard you voting DNA, but I didn't say it. I said, what? My friend voting DNA for Ricardo?
Rumors and lies. That's all it is. Rumors and lies. But I did see Ricardo on the road just now. I blowed him. Beep beep. Stay on.
Press on.
But, yeah, press on. It was him and another person. And I said, oh my. One more would make a team.
They are following the COVID protocols. Okay,
that's what it is.
That's what the DNA is, at least following the COVID protocols.
That's
Hello
good.
to Esther there in Grand Bahama and Jonathan from Haiti. What you say, Jonathan? So we got followers and we appreciate them. Yeah, man, it's been good. It was a fun weekend. It was a fun
It was.
weekend.
Actually, I was terrified most of the weekend, seeing the motorcade. And like you, I saw COVID.
Cool.
I saw COVID, and then I started to cough, and I said, Lord, just watching them, just forcing me to cough,
Listen.
So I expect in 2 weeks, we shall see some numbers. And in 2 weeks will be election, so there'll be a number of persons who won't be able to vote.
Would that be considered suppressing the vote?
I don't know.
Will we be disenfranchising people if they all caught COVID during motorcades and rallies and stuff?
But truthfully, I know that's all in humor and jest, right? I expect a low voter turnout. I expect at least 70% of the electorate will turn out for this election. No more than that. I'll be impressed. Mind you, Bohemians love vote. Yeah. I'm saying about 70% of persons will turn out, and the others will just say, "I'm participating."
Yeah. I think there will be a low voter turnout, but I know, you know what? We say that, I thought last time would be a low voter turnout, and it was like a get Christie out moment.
And that was like 90%. Yeah, a lot of people
Christie got to go. There was something else you would throw it too. And so, will it be minutes got to go motivation?
But we do remember that it was a Christie fatigue, and there was also earlier a Minnis fatigue where they say, okay, Minnis was not ready. Mr. Minnis was not ready as yet. And as the campaign came along and the Prime Minister, the then opposition leader, add on persons on his ticket, he became more attractive. And then at the end, we had a surprise visitor on the rally stage. And all those persons who came...
Who was that visitor?
I mean, this election full of surprises. He may turn up again.
Listen, I think that surprise visitor, man, because if I remember, that surprise visitor used to get the Darth Vader song, dun, 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 dun.
Arrival. That's Arrival.
Oh, that was the one. But child, he came out. That surprise visitor did a surprise too.
Again?
Surprise.
When he comes out, that means victory ahead. Who did he come out for?
Ooh, child.
It all depends on who he endorsed, whoever he endorsed.
Respect to a piece of response. Child, I think the former prime minister, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, whilst the actual prime minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, both from the same party, they were campaigning the same day, same time. This is powerful. But they wasn't on the same streets, man. They wasn't on the road together. They weren't on the road together, Cecil.
No.
We saw the former Prime Minister Gilbert who lent all of his magic to our sitting Prime Minister, right? Then endorse. You can't even make these things up. Then endorse my guy, Dr. Dwayne Sands, Elizabeth Strong, right? I mean, give him a, like the kiss, the ring, the kissing of the ring. This is powerful. I don't even know what to say about this other than, boy, Elizabeth Strong.
Elizabeth is strong, and one must appreciate the reasoning. And when Papa, for no other name, comes out, there's always a reason. It always means that the nation is in crisis and that he needs to intervene and help save the nation. The very idea that the former Prime Minister came out and went to Elizabeth means that this is so important to the nation that he felt it compelled that he endorsed Dwayne Sands because it's a matter of survivability of the Bahamas. So I believe that's what it is. It is urgent that the entire Bahamas go behind and support Dwayne Sands. That's how urgent it is, and I believe that's why the former Prime Minister came out. It's a matter of need and necessity for the salvation of the Bahamas.
And that's it. When he comes out,
did I spread that too thick just now? I just checking.
No, that was really thick, but I like it, because that's my guy.
Okay, good. Yes, good.
Spread it on heavy, like deep sauce. So yes. I mean, listen, I would say this, that when you saw that, there was no need for any announcement. The former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram need not have said anything in terms of endorsement.
No,
his boots were on the ground.
Yes,
he came out, not in Andres where the Prime Minister was, right? Not there. But he came out in Elizabeth Estates to let's go through the history of Dr. Dwayne Sands. It's a little bit of
go ahead. Let's do that. I'll yield and let you go ahead. Just
a little bit of history. If we do recall, Dr. Dwayne Sands memory serves, stood with Loretta Butler Turner.
Yes.
When no other of the seven, when none of the seven had the testicular fortitude to stand with her on that stage. Dr.
He
Dwayne
went up on the
Sanders
stage. He did.
He
He did.
stood up on that stage, and he showed to be a man that stands on certain principles. If he said, I was with you at the seven, I'll be with
Yes.
you when you stand alone, and the rest were cowards and disappeared. Okay,
He takes the tough questions. He takes the tough questions. Yes.
And then he comes in, he becomes the minister of health. He did a superb job until he didn't do a superb job, and then he
Yes.
was forced to resign, right? But during this pandemic, he's been the only one who's been answering questions sensibly, unafraid to present any information before us. Mind you, people will
Again, the
still
tough
hold a grudge.
questions.
People will still hold a grudge for some of his decision making. One or two in particular, one of the reasons why he left. But for the record, there were folks who should have also resigned along with him, who were also a part of that decision making with the swabs. But we digress. You know, only the prime minister wants to resign is actually resign. So I tell you, the fact that the former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram came through and went on the ground to campaign, it's quite interesting, quite telling.
Yes. Yes.
And to say that Dwayne Sands must win his seat and he would be a great leader, I thought that was controversial, even to say
And the
that.
key word there, must win his seat.
Must win his seat. Must.
And he was speaking to the nation in general, and he was speaking to the people of Elizabeth, which includes part of Seabreeze, part of Yamacraw, and part of Elizabeth Estates proper. He said that Dwayne Sands must win his seat for the sake of the Bahamas.
My God. My God. This is something I tell you. Listen, Bahamian politics got so much drama. Who needs a daytime soap opera? I mean, watching all of the rallies, the voice notes, this was fun. This was a fun weekend, but I still saw COVID. So that was something else. But very interestingly, since that happened yesterday, there has been a statement and that has been circulating on social media. And it says, that's only one vote. F&M founding father disagrees with Ingram's endorsement of Sands for PM. Okay. More. I also want to see incumbent Aram, okay, so it goes on. Free National Movement founding father Maurice Moore yesterday expressed his support for Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, suggesting that he has done more for the Bahamas than any other prime minister. Oh, this is powerful. I feel like that's so Trumpian, though. Isn't that like what people for Trump would say? Like he's the greatest prime minister in the history, or the greatest president in the history of presidents.
Leave Moore alone, please. Thanks. Go ahead with your reading.
I'm just saying it sounds very Trumpian, right? Like the greatest Bahamas, done more for the Bahamas than any other prime minister. Moore's comments came after former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram endorsed Elizabeth incumbent Dr. Dwayne Sands in his run for the seat at a constituency event on Saturday and expressed his hopes to see Sands as prime minister one day. Elizabeth incumbent MP Dr. Dwayne Sands left with former blah, blah, blah. At a block party event in the constituency in early September. On Saturday, Ingram said he was motivated to publicly support Sands' campaign, in quotes, because he's a good man and I think he deserves to be elected. In an interview with Eyewitness News, Moore said he does not agree with Ingram's public support of Sands as prime minister, which he labeled as a personal feeling. I support.
Stop. You can't just read over that and let that slide or by that without analyzing what does Moore mean by that.
It's a personal feeling.
But he expressed as a voter his personal feeling.
Yeah.
And Maurice Moore saying that the former prime minister should not have a personal feeling.
Let go of feelings. No, we don't do feelings. We do, even though he says that the present prime minister, has done more. That's not a feeling. That's a fact, I guess.
That's a fact. Oh, okay.
I guess that's a fact, because we can't talk about personal feelings. So it has to be a fact that Prime Minister Minnis has done more for the Bahamas than any other prime minister. So no feelings, just facts.
Just facts.
Moore goes on and says, I support the present leader of our country. He is the chosen leader of our party, and it doesn't make any sense, as far as I'm concerned, assenting anything that could be misunderstood, he said. Our leader of the F&M is Dr. Minnis, and all of the support that ought to be given at this time ought to be given to our leader. Pause. I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him.
No. But wouldn't that be a personal feeling again? You see, you're confusing me, man. Either it's going to be a personal feeling, you can't endorse nobody. See, it's a mix up. That's
But
what
see,
old
I
age is
guess,
costing. Old age is cost these things that you get confused.
but I guess
But go ahead.
since the former prime minister gave a feeling when he said he endorses, and that Dwayne Sands must, when he did the magic touch, and he did the magic touch on Dwayne Sands and endorsed him. This is a big endorsement now. That when this happened for Sands, it was a feeling, and therefore he opened up the feelings gate. Now everyone can have a feeling, and Moore is now having feelings, and so he's feeling that the former prime minister, should not have done this.
I
Right?
think Moore is catching feelings. That's what Moore is doing. Grand Bahama people different from Nassau people. They catch feelings easy. They're different from us, and clearly, Moore don't understand Nassau people, and he need to keep his Grand Bahama comments in Grand Bahama.
So he says, we need a man of knowledge. He said the country needs a leader like Menace at this time, particularly since the virus has overtaken the world. Powerful.
Okay.
Powerful. We need a man of knowledge and ability in the medical field, and his recommendation and his decisions on what the country must take under. Man, I can't even read that.
No, I go with that. See, I'm comfortable with Maurice Morris saying right now, and I have no problem with that. It's the part where he basically scolded the former prime minister I'm uneasy with. See, if he to say all of that about and endorse the prime minister, I would say go Maurice Moore, support the leader of the party. But you can't be scolding the former prime minister of the country. Moore is junior to him. No matter, Moore has never been prime minister.
This is how the article starts, that he is a founding father. So
that's okay.
He must be more senior, eh?
You can't be senior.
You can't be senior.
Never prime minister. No.
You can't be senior, but
one must appreciate that Hubert Ingram was sought after when he's not an ordinary person. Hubert Ingram was sought after by the FNM party and chosen for his special talents to lead the party. But I digress. Continue with the read.
The end here, and I fully one of the last lines, right? The last paragraph, because it's very lengthy. The former prime minister, he is his own man. See, he can do what he feels, and speak out how he feels about any person who's been nominated and running. So I don't question him in doing so. But you kind of did, like you did.
You kind of did. You did.
You did. Yeah.
Mix up.
So it's like you're coming back, right? It's like wheeling and saying, okay, I said all of that stuff, but I forgot that I'm talking about,
He realized his mistake. That's what it is. He realized his mistake.
Says, I wish Dr. Sands would win as well. Okay. All right. I'm in. This is So it says, Minister's knowledge in the medical field caused us to be 179 out of 180. Needless to say, the Prime Minister's record, if we're talking about medical, is not good in the COVID crisis. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, CA, and you're rejoining me. So on the ground this weekend, there were tons of events. One of the major ones had to have been seeing and hearing the endorsement of the former prime minister talking about leadership, right? With Dr. Dwayne Sands, who was just a backbencher a few minutes ago, and is vying just for a seat, not as leader of the party. And I think that is something to be noted, something to mark, that the former prime minister at the funeral of Mr. Hanna, A.D. Hanna, mentioned that in some sort of slight, in a way, even the calling of elections early and making note that, hey, he and Christie would keep it in May. Now, mind you, he and Christie never solidified the date. So it isn't as if, Dr. Menace did something in terms of breach. They could have both solidified an election date and we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But that there seems to be something here. And I thought that was something very much worth noting in this whole election process, that's the next undertone. And then the irony, CA, was that today we saw last night, you were listening to Dr. Menace mention that Chester Cooper wants Brave Davis gone, wants Brave Davis to lose so that he can take over the party. And you're saying, but wow, the irony of it all, right? Like, are we missing that that's a storyline that's fascinating and could possibly be your own storyline within the party? So I just, there's so much things, and still COVID.
And the truth is election narrative and election propaganda. And this is what we do during the election. You sow seeds of discord. You said the deputy wants to take over the party, and then it's turmoil within the party. And the same thing, I believe the PLP is attempting to sow discord in within the FNM, to say that Dwayne Sands, it wants to take over the party, and that Gilbert Ingram endorsement of him is a clear indication of that. Whereas we know, even on the advertisement on The Guardian, Dwayne Sands said he supports Hubert Minnis. Hubert Minnis is the leader of the FNM party, and that he will follow him. It's a clear declaration, and this is what he's doing. But of course, we have political mischief, and I understand that, and there's nothing to complain about that. It's something that the party itself needs to accept and understand that this is what happens 2 weeks away from the general election.
And neither fall prey to it, because we have bigger issues, right? That's the thing.
Yes, we have
bigger issues, right? Some text messages says, Mr. Moore, oh no. Okay. So Mr. Moore was let go by Mr. Ingram and was appointed as an ambassador by the present PM. Just as a note, someone says, Nahaja, Hubert Ingram gave us Minnis, and our Bahamas is worse off. Ingram started our downfall. As a matter of fact, we will not listen to him again. Coalition of Independents.
Dr. Minnis won fair and square. They had the election, and he beat out. We had two different elections. In fact, the FNM party, that is, they had two different elections. In fact, they had one earlier, and they had one later when Minnis was challenged, and he won fair and square, and by a landslide. The FNM party has confidence in him, and we must accept it. The political mischief is not important right now.
Someone says, can you catch COVID if you go out to vote and you dip your finger in the same ink as people who have COVID?
What you do afterwards is sanitize your hand, and boom, COVID gone. You don't put your hand in your mouth with the blue thumb. You end up with blue lips. I hope that helped the person.
And we would be able to tell as well. We would be able to tell. No sucking fingers after you vote. Says Brave can't run no more if he loses because he's already 70. You're right on that. I mean, I think this is the last. Brave look good for 78. All of that.
He does look good for it. He look virile. Look good for 70. Yes.
70? Wow. Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back, more with my good friend C.A. Nuri. We're talking, the weekend, what you saw this weekend. What did you see with the rallies? What did you see? We're also going to be joined by Dr. Gilbert Morris. We're going to talk a bit about the economic plan and future with my good friend, Dr. Gilbert Morris. And then also, we're going to have later in the show some questions on what's going on with COVID and how do we, deal with it. There's a video that's gone viral, but we'll talk more about it. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Hospitals are collapsing. Doctors say our healthcare system is past the breaking point. Nurses disrespected. Not enough beds or resources. Now, this government failed to disclose who's really benefiting from millions in COVID contracts, hiding who profits from travel visas, from food assistance, from COVID testing fees. So while healthcare collapsed, who got rich? The FNM can't fix the crisis. They are the crisis.
This has been a paid political announcement by the PLP.
Sugar, sugar, let's get sugary. Softer, smoother, and amazing skin. Oh, sugar, sugar, we're the sugar ladies. Giving you skin soft as a baby's. Goodbye hair, we'll take good care of you.
Come visit us at Bahar Treat Spa on East Bay Street. Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
Looking for a roomy SUV that's affordable? Take a look at the new Chevrolet Traverse. It seats up to 8 and is ranked best in class for cargo space. Its spacious interior design offers the latest features to keep you and your family entertained. What's more, you'll get up to a 5-year, 100,000-kilometer factory warranty along with Chevrolet's superior engineering and safety record. So, test drive the new Chevrolet Traverse today at Nassau Motor Company on Shirley Street, where standards are higher.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the hit back with Natasha Black. It's the hit back with Natasha Black. It's the hit back with Natasha Black. It's the hit back with Natasha Black.
We're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. My good friend C.A. Nuri joining us. C.A. who will be joining me for most of this next 10 days as we dissect everything that's going on and all of the fun that we've had before in the last election, hoping to bring all of that energy to this election, right? Even though this ain't the same one, right? It doesn't feel nowhere near the same. It feels definitely a lot more intense, there's more to lose. It feels a little bit more somber as we know we're trying to do this, and there's not even that real energy of campaigning. We know that, another 15 or so people were added to the list of deaths from COVID-19, and it's not feeling the same. But there's more urgency, and I think that compounds the stress of it all for many. Your thoughts on that?
There is definitely a sense of urgency, and because there's a clear divergence of governance between what the PLP said they're going to do and what the FNM is doing at this present time, and the Bahamian people need to consider that and come out to vote and support their political party. Whether it is you want to continue with Dr. Minnis and the team, and what they are putting forward and their terms of the new Bahamas, or you want to go in a new direction altogether with Philip Brave Davis and their team. And we need now need to,
you totally ignored all the third parties.
All the third parties are ignoring. All. For the third party, what they need to consider now is who amongst them will get their $400 back, who will get 5% of their votes. That is what they're competing for right now. To say, well, I got my $400 back. Other than that, they're not inside this narrative at all. But going back to what I've said now, right? I think that both the FNM and the PLP needs to hamper down and explain their vision and state point blank, this is what we plan to do moving forward. And this is what you're voting for. You're not voting for the individual anymore, but you're voting for a particular vision and a particular plan. And this is where we see the Bahamas in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And it's both the PLP and the FNM need to do that. And I'm not necessarily thinking that is what is happening. I see that the PLP has a plan. I'm not sure that their candidates are versed in their plan. I'm not sure if they explain what this plan is and where they see the Bahamas. I see the FNM has put a snapshot of where the country stands, and they want to continue with what they have been doing right now. And I need to actually understand that. I need this is where ORG comes in and help the Bahamian public come to a decision on what is best for them and what they should be looking for.
Yeah. Okay. First, I got to say, I believe that there are so many options that are out there for me. First of all, I need my 3 independents to get in. Okay. I think that Freddie Mac has proven himself to be a wonderful contributor to Bahamian politics. Freddie is not afraid. He's not going to be a wallflower. Freddie Mac for Pine Ridge. I need Reese. You already know what Reese is going to do. Reese is going to be a proponent for the people. Reese Chipman for Senator. I think that this gentleman even needs a chance. And I don't know, because I know sentiment ain't too high, but he did show up later and teach us a lot about the Constitution and the power of the speaker. So I even say give the speaker another chance. Give the speaker another chance, right? And then you have, I think that every leader of every party should get in. That's just me. I say every leader. I mean, say one. I don't mind one. One could not go, but I mean, every leader could get in. And I think that would be quite interesting. Yes, CA is a Mac hater. He's a Mac hater. You can imagine. Now, mind you, it might be a little fiery, and we might not get much done. But if Lincoln was in the House of Assembly, at least we sure know that they're gonna be alive after. Okay, they're gonna be at least one live after, and they're gonna be a truth about, and we're gonna learn something. Yeah. And then if you got Mac in the House of Assembly, Mac will preach a word. Yes. See, some 6-7 minutes. Don't hate, Cecil. I believe that the Bahamian people should vote of faith and not fear. That's what I want for us to know. Faith and not fear. The apostle didn't say a coat of many colors. A coat of many colors. Now, most of these third parties can't run kitchen. They imagine running government. I'm a little concerned about running government, but I think that there are quite a few people from each. Kumalafe needs to be in the House of Assembly. Period and bar none. Period, bar none. Kumalafe needs to be in there. Now, do I trust Kumalafe's leadership style? Right? Same thing with Lincoln. I don't know about bar none, but I like the idea that you can imagine how entertaining the House of Assembly would be. I'm just saying. And every 8 o'clock after the House, we will get a live feed. I feel like there's something to this. I think there's something to this.
Mrs. Black, you finished?
Someone say, I know about that, Nahaja.
Yeah, I know about that either. I'm kind of concerned with this delusion that Mrs. Black is going through right now. I am concerned. You live in a fairy tale. I believe that's called Narnia. That's where you're talking about. Narnia.
My closet is very close. You might be right.
Yeah. With flying horses and unicorns and things. I know.
I got a lion in my closet, man. I got a lion in my closet.
Yeah,
someone said, you ain't no one on that one. But I mean, hey.
Yeah, it's gone too far.
Every 8 o'clock, we get a live link. And the truth about
any minute now, you can start talking about how it's possible to have the largest slide and have rivers in the Bahamas. Any minute now, you can start talking about that. I know.
And I'm waiting on my 100,000. Don't be hating. It's coming. Don't watch nothing.
Everybody get $100,000. I know.
Someone said, Stephanie says, I'm with CA Nahaja. I still love you though. Man, y'all don't feel that? Y'all don't feel a wave of third parties just coming in?
No, you by yourself. We need to establish local government to accommodate persons like Mrs. Komolafe and Lincoln Bain and Ellie McIntosh. Put all of them into local government. Go ahead.
Come on now. Leave Cassius. Leave. When I wear purple, it's over.
No.
Cassius, my first vote.
And in fact, Macapine reminds me of when they put the Warriors in Group B. You need to go in Group B now. Go to local government and then hash and fight around that. Develop that.
We do need local government though, because there's a lot of people who should be vying for local government and not vying for the House of Assembly. What I would ask, I've been asking, I don't think I have been asking, but I would ask third parties this: who is your Minister of Finance? I need to know who's the Minister of Finance. I need to know who's the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Like, who's their shadow? Because these things, you can't pick up one day and say,
why are you trying to complicate things? They don't need none of that. They just need to get enough votes.
See, but no, my thing is, you try to run a country. You don't pick up after you can't even, listen.
We have technocrats who can advise.
You need to run a country. We need to
run a country. And mind you, even though I don't believe that any third party will gain a seat this election, appreciate independent democracy now. I'm not saying that they should not run. I appreciate the $400. I appreciate the conversation and what they bring into the national narrative. So I applaud them for that, and I encourage them to continue. But this particular election, is too important to vote independent. It's too important to vote third party, and now the issues that they bring to the fore, right?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that in terms of deepening democracy, and I don't blind them for it.
Mm-hmm. I definitely believe if we had local governance, though, we'd be sifting and getting the best out of us that will funnel up to the top. But this waking up mad in Monrana country is a whole other kettle of fish. But it doesn't, and that doesn't. But the truth of the matter is, though, we've been doing this for decades. We've been doing it for decades. All of a sudden, we get people who was just, they got the coat suit on and they probably went. How do you think we get these prime ministers who just all of a sudden funnel up, right? And we end up with folks who are doing jobs that they have no idea what they're doing. We don't use the Senate to put experts in Parliament because we're so busy about making sure that folks get paid. So you got to be minister of something that you're not qualified for. The minister of work should be someone who understands logistics, who understands project management. That should be
not a lawyer.
Say again?
And not a lawyer?
No, it should be someone who understands project management. How do we make sure that logistically, with all of this money, with the vastness of this portfolio, that we actually get jobs done? What we need for the Minister of Health is actually not just because you're a doctor makes you eligible, but that you understand the logistics of getting work done. How do we make sure that we are growing and making sure that a hospital system, a healthcare system, has basic coding and billing, that we can actually get revenue? And why is it not happening, Cecil? I definitely believe healthcare is being left to squander so that the private interests of those who have can benefit from the poor, this poor makeup of what we call a healthcare system. There are some who will always benefit. And I think that is intentional, because healthcare technically cannot be free. But there are many who have insurance like myself, who, if you had another option apart from Doctors Hospital and that it was quality, would gladly give our insurance money to a PMH that was viable. Bahamians go to PMH as the private ward. So I mean,
but I know that I can speak to the fact that the private ward at PMH is just as good as Doctors Hospital, and I see that persons with money have actually considered it, and especially if you're having a baby. There are programs and machinery at the Princess Margaret Hospital that Doctors Hospital does not have, and they would have to come over and ship you over, then carry you back. So yeah. I know that we're capable of doing it, but one of the issues with PMH is Bahamians refuse to pay. They bad pay. They want to get service for free, and you said, okay, we'll provide the service for you and for free for now, but you have a bill, and those people don't ever come back and pay. And they expect the hospital to run off credit, and credit don't pay bills.
Yeah, well, listen, I think you change that. It's simple. Really begin to construct and change. The position of we're not going to do anything, you got to set your mandate. The healthcare system, I think every Bahamian knows that this isn't working. As a Bahamian woman, go and deliver at PMH. Go and have your baby at PMH on the public ward. As a Bahamian woman, and feel the difference. Come on, man. Because
what are you talking about public ward? That's the ward with 12 people on it?
More than 12, my dear friend.
No, you can't be having Bahamian woman doing that. You got to pay for that private room.
And my thing is, if we were to create a system where you actually can collect, if you don't have billing and coding, we don't even know how money is wasted. So how can we fix it when there are no reports? If there are no reports, how do I know that even what we're putting in is productive? And if we're having run over debt, why is it running over? Where is the wastage? None of this happens within our government entities. But then the Bahamian people are asked to continue to foot the bill for inefficiency. And that is a mark where they say it's us. It's on us. We need to, y'all don't want to pay. Nah, but give us something to pay for. I don't want to spend my money on garbage. If I can spend money, get better service, why would I spend it with you? And it is one of those things. You create something that we can own up to, and we will pay for it. Bahamians have no problem paying. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars going abroad to Cleveland Clinic, going to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. By the way, if they're still a sponsor, love that place. We're going to take a break. When we come back, you're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents are the best. Reliable service, we've been on the scene, protected since 1919. J.S. Johnson Insurance has the best. You'll always cover me. J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Hello, Bahamas. My name is Dr. Dwayne Sands. I was born and raised in Centerville, in the heart of the valley, Nassau, Bahamas. I'm a proud Bahamian. I've been fortunate to represent the great people of Elizabeth for the last 5 years. It has always been my dream to serve my country, and I have been involved in the political process on the front line since 2009. I am very, very proud of the support of my family, who have been with me from the beginning and who are still with me to this day. In particular, my wife, Larica, and all of my children. And actually, there's quite a few of them. I'm actually a cardiovascular surgeon. What that means is I take on the sickest people with the biggest problems every day. And so for me, the political process to deal with the challenges facing our country is pretty much par for the course. It's what I do every day. I am happy to be a part of the great team of the Free National Movement under the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis. We are indeed Elizabeth Strong.
This has been a paid political announcement by the F&M candidate for Elizabeth.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back.
And we're back. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. My good friend CA and Yuri joining me. CA, we got some text messages here. Don't forget you can follow us. Watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube every day when we're on live. Follow, share. You can find us on Facebook at just type in The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, and on Guardian Radio. And on YouTube, you can type in Nahaja Black and you'll find us there as well. And of course, every day, thank you guys so much for following 4 to 6 p.m. here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. So we got some text messages, CA. Someone asked, how old is Mr. Maurice Moore? Because I can't see someone as sharp as he is making such a ridiculous statement about Dr. Minnis, who's only served one term, doing more for the Bahamas than any other PM. Yeah, I thought that was definitely a form of hyperbole, but he may actually believe so. And from others, they actually might think that, hey, with all of the SBDC stuff and by the way, the SBDC is still one of my favorite things that this administration has done, really providing more resources to help small businesses grow. I actually do appreciate that. And they did it better than when Ingram tried to do it, because when Ingram tried to do it, it's really just poorly managed, no structure, and folks were just getting money and not starting businesses, just taking money and go. I think it was called a fast something. Mrs. Black, I think your guest is wrong on the third party. I think they will surprise a lot of us. I think so too. I think so too. By the way, oh, don't sleep. Oh man, I'm supposed to have my guests on who was donated $1 million by the Kingdom Government Movement.
Yes, that church. That
The
church.
And it was Pastor Simeon Oughton in Grand Bahama was given $1 million by the leader of the Kingdom Government Movement, Mr. Kevin King, Dr. Kevin King.
God is good, eh?
Man, $1 million smackaroos. I was supposed to call him. He told me to remind him, and I forgot to remind him. And so I got to try and reach him because I even forgot.
The church can expand their building now.
I hope it's more than just the building. I think Pastor Simeon Oughton would want, he would be all over that, right? So I think that would be something pretty awesome. $1 million smackaroos. Don't sleep on these third parties, boy. Kevin Kingdom, the Kingdom Government Movement moving. You know this to give away $1 million. I'm trying to figure why I ain't got no ads on my show.
Imagine how many scholarships I could have done. But I mean, the church is good. They help and promote God's ministries, and I support it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, one of those things where you're hoping that, and I just tried to reach Pastor Alden, so hopefully we'll get him on the show really quickly. But that's pretty big. $1 million smackaroos, boy. And that's a third party. Someone says anybody can write checks. Y'all petty. Y'all ain't even say anybody could write checks.
They just don't believe the KGM at all.
Don't believe.
I believe Doctor give him the check.
Doc wouldn't listen. Doc wouldn't give nobody a fake check. Plus, don't forget, Kevin King was the one with the most money in terms of
$53 million. He has money. Securities.
Security. So we
just
needed
cash one of those out.
Yeah. Someone says, sorry, Mrs. Black. McAlpine would need to win 40% of the votes to win. Impossible.
Look at that person. That person's smart.
Oh, ye of little faith. When I wear my Mac shirt. I only got 2 shirts I'm wearing.
I see you have the Mac shirt and you see you have the Reese shirt. But Nahaja, can you tell me, mind it only happened once in the history of the Bahamas, where an independent won their seat without a major party. Hold on, let me give the preamble. Without a major party not contesting the election. Give me an example of an independent winning their seat without having a major party withholding or not, I'm trying to say the right word properly, not contesting the seat. Tell me when that happened. Only once in the Bahamas.
Who was that?
That was in Andros. That was in either South or North Andros. But I mean Andros with that gentleman name. The name just gone because I had it in the back of my head. But it's Andros in general.
I can't remember his name though. I don't remember his name. I won't even lie to you.
Someone come. He's carrying a big bag, the big suitcase inside the House Assembly. They ain't come and gone.
Someone says, Dayon in Grand Bahama says, I think Mac's seat is secured. Him and Michael Pintard's seats are on lock in Grand Bahama.
Whitney Bastian. Yes. He's the only independent who has won a seat with both major parties fighting for the seat with him.
But I think Bahamians have changed. I think Bahamians, not changed. Well, we always say Bahamians have changed. I'm always thinking that we are going to change at some point, right? But I do believe that the appetite for the status quo has changed, right? I think that the appetite has changed for some. And so there will be surprises. I do believe that there will be surprises. I do believe that there will be some form of coalition, government afoot. I think so. It says, hope that check dated. Needless to say. So we got a call on the line. Let's get this caller real quick. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
I just wanted to help Mr. Nuri, Whitney Bastian.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Whitney Bastian, you're the best. Yeah. So, that was the gentleman, Whitney Bastian. Whitney Bastian did it, right?
Once in the history of the Bahamas.
And I think history can be changed. I don't think we're fixed. I believe that the Bahamian people, especially considering we are a young, independent nation. Independent nation. We are growing and understanding our democracy. We still have the old guard from 67, 73. We still got those old guards in their mindset still running the country. But yet, and now you have where a third party like the Coalition of Independence, filled with young people, is saying, we want different and more. You cannot ignore them. You cannot push them on the side. There is a different energy, and that different energy is going to displace what is the status quo. Now, my only thing is, and what I'm hoping is that it is not just the energy, but the acumen that goes with this. And one of the challenges that we are faced with is that a lot of our citizenry, I mean, just look, man, to go into politics is a serious thing in this country because we still got that old way. We still have a prime minister who has not decided to do any interviews, still has decided not to debate, and we are going to vote for him come the 16th. And then until we get so upset and saying this is a flagrant disrespect of what we need to make a serious decision. The fact that we elected a prime minister, and I'm still waiting on Brave Davis to do interviews. I'm still waiting. All of this video ain't doing nothing for me, though. All this pom-pom waving ain't doing nothing for me. They need to have discussions with someone, sit down with a seasoned journalist who asks the tough questions. Sit with Juan McCarthy. Sit with Zhivago, who is Zhivago is a former minister of the Free National Movement. So sit with Zhivago. I can say, don't sit with me. Sit with me. I want to ask the questions as well. This is what we deserve, but we are. So there is a yearning for change, and that yearning for change is here. It isn't going anywhere. I'm speaking with young people. They're frustrated. They don't want to vote. They're not voting. And if they are voting, they're voting for change. But when you ask them the tough questions of, okay, but what is the change you're actually looking for? What does the Bahamas look like for you? We want equality. We want all they say is we want our natural resources. And you got to know that the country is built up of more than just that. There's more than just that. So when you get the money, you're going to forget education because you got to change the status quo. You have to change the status quo. So there's a lot that is going on. But I think that we are ready and growing more and more every election for change. And each party better adjust, just like in the States, the Republicans and the Democrats, they got to adjust or else you get left behind. Someone says, brave and ministers need to, okay, that ain't saved. The third parties have come correct and will be here for a long haul. A lot of the candidates seem ill-equipped. You're right on that. That's my issue. A lot of the candidates, Lord, we have all kind of counting episodes in the house. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. When we come back, my friend CA and you will still be here because I'm still waiting on my guest. So we'll see. Yeah, just stay right there. We'll be back right after this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
You're listening to the Guardian News Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you for tuning in. Following a weekend of heavy campaigning, the Bahamas Medical Association is condemning the activities held by several political parties. In a statement sent to members of the press on Sunday, the association said it's gravely concerned about the mass gatherings by campaigning political parties. The country is experiencing rapid escalation in the number of individuals becoming COVID positive, needing hospitalization, and of persons dying due to this devastating illness. Well, Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernandez slamming political parties and their supporters for throwing health protocols out the window. He also expressed concern that quarantine voters will likely not be able to vote.
There's a way to accomplish it, but we just can't say that it cannot happen because it's incumbent upon the government to have a plan in place when you call an election. And if I'm negative and I'm quarantined, there ought to be a plan in place.
The third wave of COVID cases affecting several family islands on Eleuthera. One physician says the island is at war against the virus. With more and more Bahamians becoming ill, Dr. Arlington Liprin says the fight is far from over.
Problem is there is almost nowhere for them to go. You send them to Nassau, and there is very limited care that is available to them, either public or private.
The Ministry of Health confirmed 27 more COVID-related deaths in the country over the weekend, 14 of which occurred in the previous week alone. 227 cases recorded between Thursday and Saturday, 6 of them on Eleuthera. And that's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
First look at traffic now. Overcast skies, thunderstorms, and streets are swamped with water is what we've got to contend with during the afternoon commute. There are several streets that are busy with afternoon traffic, and a few minor congestions have developed across them in the inner city areas especially. They're moving slower, and more of it is accumulating. You've got Wolf Road in a slow ride in either direction. Lots of slowdowns along the route. The roundabouts in the south all have this lengthy traffic line going through them. On Blue Hill Road, that's Blue Hill Road South. The traffic builds over there heading into the roundabout. That's also coming in there from the east lanes on Tony's Million Darling as well. Same thing is happening over in East Street at the roundabout there. You've got serious traffic flow coming in along Independence Drive, really lengthy there, and clogging that roundabout as well, or slowing that roundabout down is better to say. Soldier Road, quite busy at this time with afternoon traffic. That's all it is, just afternoon traffic. Nothing else special happening along there as we're looking from Blue Hill Road on the west end all the way along Soldier Road into the Abundance Light Road intersection. Both lanes there quite busy. Both East Street and Blue Hill Road, south of Soldier Road, they're loaded. Traffic is slow in passing. So it's a challenge as we're going home along Blue Hill Road into the south when you pass the Carmichael Road intersection because that's extremely busy. Then you still got that heavy traffic that's continuing south on Blue Hill Road all the way past St. Vincent Road. Tony's Million Darling and Tamalabala Highway, the roundabout there, that's also severely slowed down this afternoon. You got hefty traffic lines on either side of the roundabout. From the JFK side, there's that single lane coming in along Tony's Million Darling. And then on the other side, from the east, you've got lengthy traffic lines, double lanes, that is, dual lanes heading into the roundabout. That's also slowing that roundabout down, give you some wait time there on Tony's Million Darling. Overall, the weather has to play a factor in how slow traffic is going to move this afternoon, so we'll be watching that to see what happens. This National Traffic Report, a service of J.S. Johnson. You're invited to check out their online service center app. There you're able to view your policy details, check outstanding balances, report a claim, and more. Sign up today at jsjohnsononline.com. With your Ryan Sky look at traffic in real time, I'm DANN.
Michael was in a horrible car accident. Prudential Loss Adjusters managed his claim and got him the settlement he deserved. Sierra's roof received hurricane damage. Thanks to Prudential, she and her kids are happy with their claim settlement. Tammy fractured her ankle in a slip and fall. Prudential saved her time, money, and peace of mind. Prudential Loss Adjusters are here for you whenever a tragedy strikes. Call 322-4026 now.
Protect the things that really matter to you. Shield Insurance is the insurance company that grows with you to meet your insurance needs through this beautiful adventure we call life. From automobile to home to life and health, boat, liability, construction, and business insurance, Shield has affordable policies, flexible options, friendly service, and the expertise to protect your hard-earned assets. Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau, call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
Coronavirus update. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Federal programs that provide extra unemployment benefits for people who lost their jobs or income because of the coronavirus pandemic are coming to an end. Julie Walker has this.
President Biden's administration believes the U.S. economy is strong enough not to be rattled by the drop in unemployment benefits. Officials maintain that other elements of the safety net, like the child tax credit and the SNAP program, are enough to smooth things over.
Alabama hospitals will hold a moment of silence tomorrow evening to honor healthcare workers involved in the fight against the disease and the 12,000 people who have died of COVID-19 in the state. Police, fire, and rescue personnel have been hit hard by the resurgence. The virus now the leading cause of on-duty law enforcement deaths across the country. Individual police and fire departments report vaccination rates far below the national rate. I'm Tim McGuire.
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and love what you believe in, how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward, never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's a hit back with Natasha Black. It's a hit back with Natasha Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We got a caller before I bring on my special guest. Caller, you're on the Hit Back. Welcome.
Hello, Nahaja. Is that me?
This is you. How are you?
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to know that you was from me. But hey, good afternoon, Nahaja. Good afternoon, Mr. Nuri. You're doing a fantastic job. I want to speak to Mr. Nuri and yourself just a little bit on the historical aspect of independent candidates.
Okay, hold on. With that, I want that conversation, but I have to switch gears, and CA left already. So what I want you to do, can you, April, can you get his number, please, and name? I like that. I like that topic. So let's have that discussion for sure. I'll let my producer get your number and we'll chat offline, and perhaps we'll do a brief segment of it sometime later this week. Is that good with you?
Fine. I'm welcome to that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. So we got joining me, of course, if you don't know, my mentor, one of my favorite people of all time, Dr. Gilbert Morris, was the first person after coming home, feeling very smart, thinking now with his economics thing in my hand, I must be able to get some sort of career going. That didn't happen. But Doc came through and said, you know what? And I was willing to work for Doc for free. First time I ever heard about him was on a radio show years ago. And my fiance, now husband, said to me, why don't you message him and see if you could get a gig? I sent him an email, and I sent this email and I said to him, I said, my name is X, Y, and Z, and I just want to learn. You could tell I was too broke to even know I was dumb. And I said, I just want to learn, and I will work with you for free. And he called me in. He said, and you go to Pastor Miles's church? He'll never allow that. And he paid me real money. The first real money I ever had in my life. That $400 was the best money in the world. I was rich. I've got my good friend, Dr. Gilbert Morris. Doc, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm good. You got a lot of feedback going on in that room. What you got? You got a fan roaring in the distance.
Just a second. Yeah, there's a fan on here. There's lots of things going on here. Let's see if I can actually
Much better.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. It's good to have you on the show, Doc. How are you?
I'm great. Let me move my keyboard.
Yeah, and your audio is a little low, so I just need you to speak up a little louder for me because your audio is pretty low there.
Okay, very good. Very good. Very good.
Good. I was just telling folks, Doc, of how much you've, you've played that role in my life. And so, of course, the fact that you still come on my show is such an honor.
Well, it's so beautiful to see young people like yourself develop and grow. And it seems to me that you represent a new type of young Bahamian who is informed, not a party hack, a political hack, and someone who is willing to learn and to grow. And the Bahamas needs that. And my generation has basically played itself out by trying to play the existing political crony game. And so I think now it's time for your generation to step forward. And my generation can play the advisory role. But I'm pleased to see people like yourself, and you are a talisman, I think, for a new type of Bahamian.
No, well, when you say it like that, Doc, you made me feel special all of a sudden. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Dr. Gilbert Morris, joining us. Well, Doc, of course, we're in the throes of election now. We are in the election cycle, and one of the things, or the main thing I've been wanting to ask you is what should we be looking for and looking at as a populace in this election
Yeah.
period?
The number one thing is a comprehensive program to manage the pandemic. Because nothing that you do, nothing that we do will work unless we solve that problem. Now, on your show in January and again in March of 2020, I quoted a report which I had written, which said, COVID is forever. COVID is forever. There's no such thing as post-COVID. The second thing I said was that we had to proceed strategically as if the United States ceased to exist, right? And number three, our role in managing COVID and strategizing about a new economic model would mean that we had to come up with an entirely new concept of ourselves. If you look at, I said, do not try to fix the crisis, fix the future. The reason you are in a crisis is because you haven't been prepared for the future. If you look at Cayman Islands, if you look at Bhutan, if you look at Singapore, if you look at Togo, all of these countries have not merely addressed the issues of the pandemic, but they have repositioned themselves for a new type of future. And there's only one way in March of 2020, after I said COVID is forever, there's no post-COVID, there will be no tourists for at least 2 years. Most of the government officials that I know, many of them said publicly, no, you're wrong, this will be over by June.
Yep.
They opened the country in June. They caused the first major outbreak in the Bahamas. Not the people of the Bahamas. Public officials opened that June, and you remember Grand Bahama, and then to Nassau, then Eleuthera, Exuma, even poor little Cat Island.
Yes.
I'm not saying this to blame them, but they must stop saying that nobody knew, nobody understood. It's complete nonsense. And that is why I keep saying, no, I said this at the time, and there was a response, and the response was, this will blow over by June.
Mm-hmm.
Then they said, oh no, September. There were public officials coming on your show.
Yes.
Saying, from the Ministry of Finance, saying, oh, our, cruise ship bookings are up, hotel bookings are up. And in later shows of yours, I said, but that's a nonsense point. It's a nonsense point. They can be up all you want to. If when you open, you end up with an outbreak, then you cannot address the economy, because here's the point. If we got everything perfectly, let's imagine that the Bahamas was ranked with Bhutan, with Singapore, right? We got everything perfectly. Let's imagine that, right? Even if we did that, and the United States is in the turmoil that it's in, we would still be, right, in the economic figure 4.
Yeah.
To quote Championship Wrestling from Florida when I was a boy, right? We'd still be in the figure 4. So if we got everything perfectly, and at that time I said, look, if Joe Biden wins, stop thinking that will be panacea. Joe Biden is facing about 40% political resistance, which means he's going to face 40% pandemic procedure resistance, which means there'll be 40% vaccine resistance. And you see right now that the Republicans are using every means to frustrate and undermine not just his political agenda, but the pandemic management agenda. What does that mean for the Bahamas? It means that even if we were perfect, let's say everybody in the Bahamas were vaccinated, if that's your thing, right? Let's say everybody practiced social distancing properly. Let's say we moved all the people with comorbidities into a hotel, a dormant hotel, and had them protected and so on. Let's say we took the funds that we borrowed and we reinvested it into strategic industries and to develop a technological platform to be able to test Bahamians. And so we got all that right. If the United States is in the doldrums, we are still in crisis. That's the reality.
Yes.
Because we have a dependent economy and the US is our major tourist source country. If you look at what's happening to global logistics, anything that requires shipping, prices have doubled, tripled, quintupled. That's going to continue on what is called a supply side shock. All right? People have attributed it to inflation. That's completely wrong. Those of you who are economic students, this is not inflation. This has nothing to do with the money supply or the availability of money. It has nothing to do with demand, increased demand because of a larger supply of money. It has to do with the inability to get supply into the marketplaces. Okay? So if you're an island that imports 98% of what you consume, do you see the point?
Yes.
Absolutely. So when we understand that, then you ask yourself, if you're a political leader, if you're an intelligent citizen trying to figure out, you say, in the promises which are being made to me, which set of promises to get us to the right benchmark in terms of COVID management, so we're not jumping from curfew to lockdowns, demanding that we're going to run a vaccine program, but we don't have enough vaccines for even 50% of the population. All right. You know, you've got to, pandemics are about managing public expectations. And if you can't manage public expectations effectively, you can't generate public confidence. And you can't get the public to, there's a drag between, if you look at Singapore, if you look at Japan, Bhutan, if you look even at Cayman and Barbados, their leaders are not haranguing their populations. They aren't calling people stupid. The prime minister of Singapore, now Singapore is a place where they don't mind telling you what to do, and they don't mind making you do it.
That's right. Right.
But they don't have a vaccine mandate. Because they understand the vaccine is not a panacea. Yes, the vaccine protects you, and it also allows you to do a bit of social duty, because if you're not in hospital, then the pregnant lady or the cancer patient has some place to go. But we are fast approaching, as you can see, vaccine redundancy. I wrote a letter to 190 national leaders across the world. All right. A one-page memo explaining the 5 major projections that I had made since 2020, and explaining that while you can have a vaccine regime, you need to understand what's happening. Creating a wedge between vaccinated and unvaccinated is nonsense. The unvaccinated people who are thinking that if I get vaccinated, I'm going to have Bill Gates' 5G baby, that is nonsense. The vaccinated people who are saying, if you're unvaccinated, you're a threat to other people, that's nonsense. The public officials who are saying, vaccination means that we can open the economy. That's nonsense.
That's right.
All right. The only way to open the economy, and before that, the only way to protect Bahamians, you need comprehensive spot and random testing.
Say it again, Doc.
Comprehensive spot and random testing. So this is what I wrote to 190 leaders around the world. We just sent out the last batch of FedExes yesterday. And to 190 leaders, one-page memo. We were in contact with every foreign ministry to get the letters in and get them to. And what I'm saying to them is, we need a global attitude of testing. Everyone needs to invest in new types of tests, home testing. We need to invest in Bluetooth thermometers. We need to invest in home kits of various kinds, and we need to invest in multi-dimensional testing so that when you run these tests, they upregulate to a national database and you're able to analyze. So what you want to do is get a picture of the country, and you want the tests to begin to reflect the behavior of, how people are moving in the country. In Dubai, in Singapore, in Bhutan, you can go to a government war room. This is how they manage COVID. Everyone has to download an app. You have to get tested. The tests are random in some places and spot in others, right? So high-risk clusters are spot testing, meaning you go to that spot, you test everybody. So medical workers, for instance, universities, for anywhere where there's a necessary cluster, all government, right? The police department. Then you get random testing across the population, and you look for high-risk groups. Run those tests. Plus, everyone has tests available to them. Plus, you have e-diagnostics where people can get in the app, and if they feel a certain way, they can put in, oh, I've got these 4 symptoms. Immediately when you hit send, Bluetooth contact tracing takes over, and all of a sudden on a big national map, you can see everywhere where that person has been, and all those phone numbers are contacted. Those people are told to self-quarantine, and then medical staff go there. This saves lives. In addition to that, we should have digitized social distancing, and that means you have in the app, there is a GPS locator on your phone. When you get within 6 feet of any other phone, it recognizes and pings, right? So John Bridgewater will tell me if I'm making complete sense here. He and Roy Solomon and Gilbert Kissar and the rest of them. But what you want in this situation is, imagine a situation where we all think we're social distancing, but we're all standing right under each other's noses, right?
Right.
So imagine if our phones went off and we said, we've got to distance ourselves properly. I have recommended, like, for instance, the funeral of the great Arthur Hanna, the Honorable Arthur A.D. Hanna. It was my recommendation to people who listened to me. Look, let's make this a demonstration to the world that we know how to social distance. So let us have a national funeral, but let's have a properly socially distant, COVID compliant, according to our rules and our intelligence, because we're a tourist destination. And if we can demonstrate that we can lay to rest a great national hero with a crowd properly socially distant, with drones showing that tells the world, hey, the Bahamas may be a safe place to be to ride out this thing.
Dr. Gilbert Morris, let me ask you something, Doc. And because folks, you're making sense, and the strategic planning is important. Help us to understand in terms of what this means in an open economy, right? So with testing and with all of this this technology, and that's one thing I think is sorely lacking. And I love the fact that you said, hey, listen, it's not going anywhere. There's no post-COVID. It is COVID, right? And I gather from what you're saying is our job to save as many lives as possible. At the same
Absolutely.
time, be open to an economy. But you said something,
Right.
Doc. We have to do this thing as if the United States doesn't exist. So what does
Yes.
that mean for our economy? What type of business are we in?
Here's the important thing. We have been borrowing money like a drunken sailor, but we haven't been borrowing money to protect the Bahamian people or empower them. We've been borrowing money to restructure contracts that benefit cronies. We've been borrowing money to pay old bills. We've been borrowing money to implement infrastructure programs where contracts go to political cronies right in the middle of a political season. Now, I know some people will say, okay, I'm of a particular party and this sounds bad for my party. All parties have done it in every election cycle, so
That's right.
I don't really get involved into it, whether or not it helps or hurts a political party. I could care very, very, very much less. The issue is, if we had, so for instance, we borrowed, one example, $800 million and stuffed that into the reserves. This is a bad idea. This is a terrible idea, because you're borrowing US dollars to put into a US reserve. Then you have to find US money to pay, US currency to pay interest on the money you put in the reserve. It's better to borrow the US dollars, invest in Bahamians. The problem of the Bahamian economy is we are not investing in Bahamians. The solution to the problem of the United States, here's the point. These are the steps. You have to make the Bahamas safe for Bahamians. When you make the Bahamas safe for Bahamians and you take ordinary events like a national funeral and you demonstrate, and you use your schools and you use other gatherings and you demonstrate our ability to run COVID compliant events, you're actually signaling to the international world it's safe to come here. Winter's about to come again. Winter is coming again, and Delta and Mu are on the rise. So if you're a billionaire sitting in Connecticut, or you're a wealthy person who owns 10 petrol stations somewhere in Arizona, you're looking around and saying, I'm willing to spend $150,000 to go somewhere to ride out the winter. Countries like ours have to demonstrate that we have the capacity to accommodate those people and keep them safe. And we demonstrate that by keeping ourselves safe, right? So even if the US is in the doldrums, what we're doing is attracting wealthy Americans and attracting Americans who want to decamp for the winter, and attracting long-term tourists. And we're saying you can come to the Bahamas because we have the right COVID protocol. We have spot and random testing. We have all these elements where we protect ourselves. Look at how we protect our children in the schools. Look at how we deliver education. Look at how we protect our people with comorbidities. Look at how we protect our elderly who are in the high risk category. And why is that important? That's important because there's pent up demand in North America looking for some place to go.
Let me ask you this, Doc. Professor Gilbert March joining us here on the show. There's this question. How can we afford this? Who will pay for this? How much will this cost?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
If we spend the money on that instead of sidewalks, I think that would have been a start. And if we spent the money that we borrowed and we earmarked that money, that would have been a thing. But I said this when the recovery committee was established, right? And I said on your show it will amount to nothing, and I think it has, unfortunately.
That's right.
And I gave the reasons why, and I gave a list of the agenda that the committee should have had. And I spoke to members who were on the committee, and I said to them, I was asked by one, would you come and speak to the committee? My answer was no. They said, why? I said, well, can you pay my fee? No, we don't have any money. Well, if you don't have any money in the middle of a crisis, you're just going to be another committee that produces a report that sits on a shelf somewhere and nothing happens.
That's it.
You should have negotiated as a committee for $100 million to be able to implement whatever you recommended. That's a serious committee.
That's a serious, man, say it again, man, listen, that's a serious
committee. So when the gentleman said to me, come on, man, you know how this place works. I said, well, I have a better one for you. Why don't you get a letter from the Prime Minister authorizing you? I will organize a meeting in 2 wealth enclaves for you. And we can make a pitch and raise $500 million to do the things, but you have to pick 3 things. Having a committee that takes in 300 suggestions is lunacy. If you go to make a pitch before Goldman Sachs and you have 300 different items, they tell you, listen, man, this is not high school. You get out of here. Your skill is saying there's 300. Okay, let me go through the 300. About 80% of them are really the same thing. So that boils me down. Then I take the last, 10, 15, 20 of them and I say, all right, some of the, let's rank them according to cost, time frame, available skill and talent, all right, efficacy of outcomes. Then let's split them. So already before you establish the committee, financial services is COVID indifferent. Financial services is COVID indifferent. Financial services produces the highest wages in the Bahamas. Financial services are the most efficient earners of foreign currency because everything you do in financial services, you have to bring the money in from the outside.
That's right.
Right? So why not have begun with financial services? That's what the committee should have had. One subject for the first 5 pages. Why? Because Hong Kong was in the doldrums. You remember before COVID, there was riots in the streets in Hong Kong.
That's right.
Argentina was collapsing and Britain was dealing with Brexit. So that's about 4 million companies around the world that need some place to go. So the first thing you would do in a COVID environment is set up an electronic registry and get those companies into the Bahamas, as Cayman did, right? Then the second thing you would do is you say, we've been trying to deal with public health all this time. We've gotten nowhere. But now public health is necessary both for the protection of our population, to ensure another generation of Bahamian children are not prejudiced in their education. And then if we achieve that, we tell the world, look at what we've done in this crisis with healthcare. Right. So now we can do this for you. If you decamp to the Bahamas, we can keep you safe as well. But instead of saying that, instead of it being a slogan, you can demonstrate it. That's what Cayman did. That's what Dubai has done. Do you see? No one, this is what I love about your generation. No one is interested in the talk now. Everyone says, show me. Yeah, that works. You say that that's a great idea. Show me. Run the numbers. I can understand them. Run the numbers for me. Show me. So every one of these initiatives, you can show. And I was suggesting that these people look at the example. So people began saying to me, oh, well, these are just your opinions and your ideas.
Right.
And my point was, no, they're not. You really have to learn the difference between someone merely expressing a point of view and someone expressing facts from data. The issues that I'm laying out to you and the process that I'm laying out to you isn't my opinion. Why? because I have been carrying out a ranking of the 7 best performing countries well, generally speaking, for decades. But within COVID, the 7 best performing countries. So the things which I've recommended, they are the best initiatives of those 7 countries matched against what the worst 15 countries failed to do. And what's beautiful is these countries are spread out all over the world. So you got Rwanda in Africa, you got Senegal, you got Togo, you got Vietnam, which is a newly upcoming country, you got Estonia, which is a new country, you got Bangladesh, which has come out of the doldrums and that kind of thing. Then you got Singapore, which is a high flyer and been consistently a high flyer. You got New Zealand, which is a proper upper middle class country, and so on. So the distribution is wide, which means the issue there is leadership, because those countries have different resources, different cultures, different histories, and so on. So the difference that made those countries successful is leadership.
Hold that. Oh my God. Doc, boy, I tell you, if I had an amen corner, this is exceptional. And you gave it to me right where I need it, because I need a part 2. And I need you to tell me you can give me a part 2 tomorrow, please, where we do this for the majority of the show. Because you're, and I'm so glad, because people think I'm crazy, Doc. People think I'm making noise for no reason. And I'm saying, but we saw it coming.
Well,
we saw it coming.
Tomorrow, I can give you an outline in the global economy and demonstrate to you that the mistake of the last 27 years has been the failure to invest in the new generation coming up.
We have a date tomorrow.
And that failure, you have banks at the moment. Banks are on the precipice, because if blockchain expands and countries begin to cannibalize Bitcoin by issuing central bank digital currencies, then what they will do is disintermediate the banks. There's really only one way for the banks to be relevant. And if you look at what the Bahamas government has done, it has tried to negotiate the banks into the deal with sand dollar.
Yeah.
But that's an unconstitutional tax.
Hold that thought. Doc, don't say anymore. I got it, because I have another guest I got to get to. I don't want you to say another word. Tomorrow, Dr. Gilbert Morris will be joining us on the show, Doc, because you said it on air, so everybody's expecting you, and folks want a part 2, because this is where we want to be. Let's be critical and strategic. Enough of this dancing on stage and people are dying. We need real solutions. Dr. Gilbert Morris, thank you so much, Doc.
And the talent is in the country to do it. The talent is in the country to do it.
Speak it. There's a word. I can't wait. I love you, Doc. Thank you so much.
Love you too, darling. All the best. Cheerio.
All right. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We will be back, joined by Dr. Michael Dovell. Let's ask some tough questions there with regard to COVID. We will be back right after.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Hello, Bahamas. My name is Dr. Dwayne Sands. I was born and raised in Centerville, in the heart of the valley, Nassau, Bahamas. I'm a proud Bahamian. I've been fortunate to represent the great people of Elizabeth for the last 5 years. It has always been my dream to serve my country, and I have been involved in the political process on the front line since 2009. I am very, very proud of the support of my family, who have been with me from the beginning and who are still with me to this day. In particular, my wife, Larica, and all of my children. and actually there's quite a few of them. I'm actually a cardiovascular surgeon. What that means is I take on the sickest people with the biggest problems every day. And so for me, the political process to deal with the challenges facing our country is pretty much par for the course. It's what I do every day. I am happy to be a part of the great team of the Free National Movement under the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis. We are indeed Elizabeth Strong.
This has been a paid political announcement by the FNM candidate for Elizabeth. The Water and Sewage Corporation advises the public and its customers that the corporation will commence improvement works on Bamboo Boulevard, South Beach East, beginning Friday, September 3rd, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily for a period of 8 weeks. During this time, there may be some interruption in water supply and traffic flow around the work area. The corporation apologizes for any inconvenience caused.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Joining me now is the one and only Dr. Michael Dowell of the Progressive Liberal Party, and Shadow Minister of Health, if they are so fortunate to become the government. Dr. Dowell, how are you?
I'm good, Nishaja, and all is well, and good afternoon and good evening, I should say. It's after 7, no?
Man, you really live in the best life.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you on, Dr. Dowell. I know you got to snap a little bit of what Dr. Morris was sharing, Gilbert Morris was sharing with regards to strategizing COVID. Today, we are sitting in a space where we have tents that are, sitting at the hospital that really, after a rainy day, doctors are working outside in a rainy day. We have staffing issues, and where Bahamians are not seeing our way out of this pandemic. There is the Delta variant, there is the Mu variant, Lambda. What is the Progressive Liberal Party's? We've heard of the 10 points. The strategic plan, if you were so, blessed to get in the House, that will get us to a COVID livable world.
We lost there. I can't hear her.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. We're having a break in, I'm at a different location.
Right.
And apparently there's a break. I'm sorry about that. I didn't hear the last part of the question, unfortunately.
How do we get to, what was the Progressive Liberal Party's plan? We know that there's a 10-point plan, but strategically, effectively getting us out of this situation.
Well, thanks a lot, Nahaja. And also, coming here, because, I was another event. Coming here, I was listening to Professor Gilbert Morris, and I was very impressed because he is articulating very much what is happening in our plan. He spoke about testing. We've already said that the virus itself is an invisible enemy, and the only way you're going to know where it's at is if you do testing. As far as the PLP is concerned, we have been working very diligently to come up with a strategy. The strategy itself is short-term, medium-term, and long-term. The short-term plan is basically to look at our current medical infrastructure and determine the quickest way, should the people give us an opportunity to govern, how to expand these COVID services and try to save lives. We believe that as we stand today, there is a lot of room for short-term expansion at the Princess Margaret Hospital and in Grand Bahama, and we believe that we have a very strategic approach on how we intend to do that, should the Lord bless us with the victory.
Let me ask you this question. You said you guys have a short-term strategic approach and room in PMH. Right now, we have persons outside, right? We have about 80-odd patients with COVID-19 at PMH. We have folks in tents. Does the Progressive Liberal Party, can you guys tell us where you see room to take them from outside to inside?
Yes. Well, we did an assessment at the current PMH, and we believe that some of the areas where there's administrative duties being carried out. I believe that we have identified some potential areas where we can actually move those individuals and to create space for the COVID patients. One of the things that is of concern to us is manpower resources. And when you have COVID centers all over the place, it creates a clutter as far as manpower resources is concerned. We believe that if we find a central location where we can expand the services, we can bring those healthcare professionals together. And when we bring them together, we can roster them more effectively rather than pushing them to the element of burnout, and bring them to a point whereby COVID patients could be categorized in a confined area rather than being dispersed at different locations and different locations at the hospitals itself.
So you're saying it's as an addition, you're going to add on something, or this is existing space that you
No,
see?
this is the short-term approach. We have looked at where we are at the Princess Margaret Hospital. We believe that we see room where we can do clinical evaluations. We can actually house patients who are COVID positive. We can expand our services and allow the hospital to function, as well as to provide the necessary COVID services.
Sounds like a lot
And
of
we
square
believe
footage.
that there is existing space at the Princess Margaret Hospital to do it.
Wow, I mean, that's how much square footage have you found? How much square footage are you looking at?
We have, when we look at the critical care block, and we looked at the area where the surgical theater is, there is an administrative section there, which is very important to the hospital, but it's very easy to remove that administrative section and utilize that effectively to really address COVID patients. It's raining outside. They're intense, the humidity and the whole thing. We have the ability to find space at our existing facility to house these patients in the short term while we work on the medium and long-term solutions, because Professor Morris is right. COVID is going to be with us for a while. This is not going to go away. And we need to be able to take care of Bahamians who are sick with COVID, while at the same time executing our vaccinations and all of the other elements in our toolbox to ensure that we reduce the burden on our hospital system. Another area that we were looking at is the nursing school, which is in close proximity to the hospital. It's very easy to do the necessary renovations to the nursing school and begin to expand and begin to connect the nursing school to the Princess Margaret Hospital, which is absolutely necessary for COVID care. I believe that as we expand the infectious ward area, I believe a lot of the small satellite COVID facilities that are around New Providence, we will be able to bring those healthcare professionals in an area whereby we can better utilize our manpower resources. This is one of the areas that we're looking at in the short term, while we find different locations where administrative teams can go and be effective in managing the hospital services, but not necessarily at the hospital itself.
We're going to take a quick break. Dr. Michael Dovell, Shadow Minister of Health. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined with Dr. Dovell. We'll be back. We will be right back.
Hospitals are collapsing. Doctors say our healthcare system is past the breaking point. Nurses disrespected. Not enough beds or resources. Now, this government failed to disclose who's really benefiting from millions in COVID contracts, hiding who profits from travel visas, from food assistance, from COVID testing fees. So while healthcare collapsed, who got rich? The F&M can't fix the crisis. They are the crisis.
This has been a paid political announcement by the PLP.
Sugar, sugar, let's get sugary. Softer, smoother, and amazing skin. Oh, sugar, sugar, we're the sugar ladies. Giving you skin soft as a baby's. Goodbye hair, we'll take good care of you.
Come visit us at Bahar Treat Spa
on East Bay Street. Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharitree.com.
Looking for a roomy SUV that's affordable? Take a look at the new Chevrolet Traverse. It seats up to 8 and is ranked best in class for cargo space. Its spacious interior design offers the latest features to keep you and your family entertained. What's more, you'll get up to a 5-year, 100,000-kilometer factory warranty along with Chevrolet's superior engineering and safety record. So, test drive the new Chevrolet Traverse today at Nassau Motor Company on Shirley Street, where standards are higher.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
The following is a paid political advertisement.
Good morning, millionaire. It's me, Mario Woodside, the independent candidate for Nassau Village, aka Sasha Dunn. And I'm gonna tell you, like my mother told me, you shall know a tree by the fruit it bears. We have all seen the fruits of both parties in the past 20 years. So this election day, think independently. Think Mario Woodside for Nassau Village.
Paid for by Mario Woodside, independent candidate for Nassau Village.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the hit back with Natasha Black. It's the hit back with Natasha Black. It's the hit.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Dr. Michael Darville, Shadow Minister for Health with the Progressive Liberal Party, joining us. Dr. Darville, when it comes to staffing, this is a critical issue with COVID-19. Doctors already, nurses already. We lost another young physician to COVID-19. We are in a health crisis and morale at PMH in particular, and with PHA is very low. What is the Progressive Liberals Party's plan that is doable, considering we got a lot of debt, that you can help to lift morale and get more doctors and nurses?
Well, first of all, I'd like to extend condolences to the young doctor who passed away. It's always sad when you lose one of your colleagues. As far as extending and improving the healthcare workers at the PMH and all of our tertiary facilities is something that we need to move on immediately. What we found is that many of our healthcare workers are not does not have access to the necessary protective equipment that is essential for them to function effectively. I know the government has been articulating the fact that these things are available. As we do our research, we realize that some of it is not available at different places. We have a manpower shortage in the country as it relates to healthcare professionals. So we must look outside to look at how we can address that deficiency. At the beginning of COVID, we approached the government to speak to them as it relates to what should we do to improve our manpower resources. We made recommendations to look abroad. There was offers that were given to us from Cuba to assist us in the pandemic. The government opted not to take the initiative to accept it. And they were saying that some of the reasons were that there was a language barrier, and then we're not certain with the quality of doctors and respiratory therapists that we would get. We found that to be unacceptable. So immediately we would be looking for immediate help from abroad because, you know, to train manpower resources in healthcare is not something that you can do in the short term. So we must fill that gap in the short term. In the medium term, we must begin now to look at our doctors, look at our nurses, look at all of our para-health care workers, and find ways to get them in the system. We have a wide cross-section of nurses that have retired. A lot of them are still in good health. I believe that we can tap into that resource immediately in the short term to address the situation that we're currently facing with COVID, while at the same time providing all of the necessary healthcare services at all of our tertiary healthcare facilities. So the Progressive Liberal Party, should the Lord bless us with the victory, I'm saying that many of our nurses and healthcare workers who are presently in retirement, who do not have the necessary comorbidities, we would be looking to reach out to them to, first of all, get Bahamians back into the system to help us with this pandemic and to keep our healthcare services functioning. And where we fall short after that, we will be looking from outside. We will be reaching to our friends in Cuba to see whether or not they can assist us. And we will be touching bases with the Americans to see if we can get support, because we need support in terms of manpower resources. We have a plan as it relates to expanding the services at our tertiary facilities, because we believe there is some space, but manpower resources is of great concern in order for us to get this thing under control and prevent us from these draconian measures of lockdowns, which basically stagnates our economy and sets us back. And so we're going to move very effectively and very quickly to address those issues, should the Lord bless us with the victory.
One last question, and I know I'm out of time, so if you could give me about 30 seconds of an answer. The question is, where have you guys already allotted this in your health budget, right? Because right now, the health crisis is a part of an economic crisis. How do we retain these doctors and nurses who are saying, hey, listen, you got to respect us, not just with words, but with some funds? How is the Progressive Liberal Party planning to fund these agendas, this plan? Do you have a budget already in mind?
Well, Nahaja, healthcare is an expensive situation. We're not sleeping in a bubble. We know exactly what these things cost, but we have weighed the cost versus the effect on our citizens. We believe that the loss of one life is significant, and we would immediately have to find emergency reserves and resources to ensure that we put an effective COVID plan in place in the short term. Too many people are dying. And in order for us to rise to the occasion, our first priority is the health and safety of the Bahamian people. We believe that is money well invested, and we will find the emergency resources in order to do it. We will find emergency resources to bring on additional healthcare workers. We will find emergency resources to expand the infrastructure. We will find emergency resources to ensure that our schools and our people are protected. That's our number one priority. And after that, then we will move forward.
We got to go. But Dr. Michael Dovell, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate you, and all the best to you and yours. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Everyone have a great day. We're out.